Hey YouTube, it's Miss Fashion My World here, and this is going to be my second video on my personal vlog channel. And the topic that I'm going to be discussing today is living as an expat, basically, in Germany. A lot of the time when I tell people that I live in Germany, they're just like, the first thing that I usually hear is, are there black people in Germany? Which is like totally ridiculous because I feel like almost every country has black people, but whatever. There are black people here in Germany, especially uh, depending on where you live. There's like a lot of Americans here, like near the bases, a lot of military and DoD civilians. Excuse me. And you also have a lot of people of African descent, a lot of Africans from like Ghana, Nigeria, all over, who basically live here. Uh, I mean, it's of course you have a lot more Caucasians than anything. You have Asians, you have everything here. It's not like America where it's like a huge melting pot, but you do have people from all over the world here in Germany. So let's get into dating German men. Okay, as an American, you're used to like American men like kind of like approaching you and like, hey, can I get your number, this and that. The German men are a lot more reserved. It's kind of almost impossible if you're not like somehow affiliated with them in their circle, you go to school or work with them, for them to really approach you. They're not the typical, hey, how you doing, how can I, can I take you out or whatever. They're not the typical ones to do that for the most part. I notice a lot of the younger ones are leaning a lot more towards that, but as far as like those that are my age, they're not that, they don't approach you that well unless you're like in an environment where like at a beer festival and maybe they might be a little bit drunk, then they have that courage. But for the most part, they don't do that. Like if you go to a bar for the, like how it is in the States, you go to a bar, a guy buy you a drink. I can probably count on one hand how many times a German man has offered to buy me a drink at a bar. It's definitely not the norm. So for the most part, if you want to get with a German guy, you probably have to be a little bit more verbal and a little bit more assertive for the most part, because they're not just gonna come up and approach you. Online, it's a whole different story. They're definitely more in their element. I don't want to say all Germans, but I'll just say a large majority of Germans, they're like that. They're also pretty. A lot of them are like traditional. Uh, the woman does certain things, the man does certain things, but with the newer generation, it's a lot different. You are seeing a lot more guys choosing to stay at home with the children and letting the wife go out and work, and a lot of women are taking on the role of going out in the workplace instead of just being stay-at-home moms until their children are old. Um, Traveling is pretty awesome here, being that you are bordering all these countries: France, Austria, Switzerland. It's amazing. Like you get to see a lot. And it's culturally, it's really rich, being that every country has their own culture. So there's the language, the food. It's just amazing. It's awesome. So living here has been culturally enriching for me personally, because I feel as though if I living in the States, I probably would have never been able to have the exposure to so many different cultures as I have just living here. Yeah. I guess if you wanted to come to Germany, there's many ways to come to Germany. If you're younger and you want to move to Germany, you could always be an au pair. You could sign up and come over here, and in exchange, they'll give you room and board, and they have to offer you a language class. They have to send you to a language class with most legal au pair companies. Some may not, but a lot of them, I know, most au pairs that I've met, they've always been like in some sort of German school. The other way, obviously, if you're thinking about joining the military, hey, why not tell them? That's what I did. I got over here through the military initially when I enlisted. I was like, I want to go to Germany. So I took my ASVAB, and they were like, if you score high enough, you'll have a choice of duty station. So that's exactly what I did. I chose Germany, and this was my first duty station. The other option would be looking for jobs. Like, we have plenty of American jobs that are based in Germany. You can go through the government jobs, DOD. You can become a contractor, or just jobs like Raytheon, or a lot of the bigger companies. They have a lot of different branches worldwide. So you could easily get into something. I don't want to say easily, but you could, land a position over here. Another way, I mean, if you met a German guy and you guys decided this is what you wanted to do, you could decide, hey, let's move to Germany, or I'm going to come to Germany to be with you, but just be aware you can only stay here on your passport for 3 months at a time. So every 3 months, you're probably going to have to buy a ticket and go back and come back here. And that's definitely not easy. I think my next video, I'll talk about being in a long distance relationship. Uh, Flying back and forth. Definitely not the cheapest alternative, but I mean, hey, it's whatever. Like Oktoberfest, the Stuttgart Kanderstadtfest, and every city has like a little beer fest. I live in the Rhine area. The Rhine River is known for their vineyards. They have amazing vineyards here, and there's a wine fest in the summer, like almost every weekend somewhere. So it's pretty amazing. Traveling around Europe is easy. You have trains, you have buses, uh, low budget airlines, regular airlines. It's not the cheapest to me personally, but there's lots of ways to get around. And actually, like Airbnb and a lot of those couch surfer websites, they say it's a lot easier, safer, and better, I guess, in Europe. A lot of places like Germany, France, London. So if you're definitely thinking about coming over here, maybe backpacking, uh, yeah, and there are like lots of youth hostels where you can go and meet other people who are doing the same exact thing that you're doing. So I would say if you want to come to Germany, if you want to live in Germany and you just want to experience Germany, the best thing to do is just come. I mean, do your research, look, try to find other like-minded people who are here, like people like me. You're like, hey, I'm interested in coming to Germany. I'm going to be here for, I mean, it depends on the person. I'm not going to say I'm going to be available for everyone. But for the most part, if someone were like, hey, I'm going to be in Germany this time, is it possible for you to take me around, show me around? And if I'm in that area, or if they're going to be in my area, I'll definitely hook up with them and show them around, and, just show them a good time. But so as far as learning the German language, I think it's definitely important to try to learn the language. Me, myself, I went through little bouts of, I've been here 14 years off and on, and I went from being completely immersed in the German culture and having to speak German every day when I was married to my German ex, to not speaking German at all. Like the last 5 years, I've been working with the military, so I really don't have to speak German, if that makes any sense. So it's kind of hard when you're working all day in English to try to brush up on German. Like it's not the easiest balance for me. So, and also like with my ex, we spoke English to each other, which is probably the biggest mistake that we ever made. I probably should have just been like completely pushed into speaking German, but it's kind of a stressor on your relationship if you guys have always spoken English to each other and then all of a sudden you want to speak German, because of course the words don't come that easy. You're making mistakes left and right. So it definitely can become like a stressor on your relationship for the most part if you guys feel as though you can't communicate effectively or without feeling frustrated. The German language, you can learn it basically, I mean, I learned it more so through watching television, reading magazines, and I also went to some classes. My German definitely isn't where it probably should be after being here for so long, but it is what it is. Definitely important to learn at least the basics just so you can get around. Most people in Germany do speak English, but I feel as though it's kind of a handicap for us because then we're so used to everyone speaking a language, our mother tongue, that we're not out there trying hard enough. And you get a lot of folks, like a lot of military people here, they feel like they can go out and everyone should understand them. But just like when we're in America and someone doesn't speak English and we're like, this is America, you should speak English, you know? Like that's how they feel for the most part. This is Germany. You should speak German. It's not my fault that you're here with the military. It's not of any interest to me. You should at least take a little bit of time out of your day to try to learn the basics and at least attempt. Because if they see you attempt to speak the language, then they'll work with you. But sometimes when you don't even like try, they'll be like, oh, can't help you. Sorry, don't know. So I don't knock them for that because I feel as though it's right. You know, when in Rome, that's just the way it is.